John.
All set?
Hey, John.
Good evening. This is the regular meeting of the New Canaan Police Commission on May 18th, 2022. First item on the agenda is minutes from a previous meeting of April 20th. Were there any changes in that? Or admissions, corrections?
None here.
None here, I
I
didn't
had-
notice anything.
All right, motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second,
Aye.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, that's. Next, monthly reports, chief?
Sure. First report is our budget. We should be at 83.33, but we're actually at 75.30, which is, if everything's been posted, we're under budget. But that's not clear if everything's been posted by finance. So that's good news. No concerns at this stage of the budget. Animal control is at 73.60. It's been posted to the lines. And dog fund is at 76.40, so no concerns with our budget's animal control at police at this stage.
Okay, good.
Next report is our monthly statistics. I'll just highlight some incidents. 7 burglaries to date versus 1 same time last year. A family disputes 30 versus 17, so that's a substantial increase, but that's usually a good thing because people are calling us for assistance. Larcenies from vehicles 6 versus 15, so that's a reduction. Hope that trend continues. Location checks 662 versus 216. The bulk of that is related to checks of our parks to mitigate some of the crimes that have been happening there, so that's certainly good work by our officers.
Right, so you think that because those are up, then larcenies from vehicles should be down? I mean, should be.
I hope that's a correlation, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Motor vehicles and property damage 111 versus 103, so that's pretty close, a little bit up. Injury accidents 11 versus 7, but we continue to target locations where we see accidents and or complaints. Psychiatric problems 27 versus 20, so that's an increase, and the trend I think will continue, but our officers handle those really well. In fact, we had a complicated one yesterday in the center of town that was handled exceptionally well given the circumstances, so kudos to those officers that were at that scene. That's it for that. Okay. False alarm aging, we have about $11,000. That's over 120, $11,750, and the bulk of the past due monies is more than 31 days. And I did ask finance for an update about collections, but I haven't received that yet, but I will follow up. Extra duty aging is about 38,000, more than 31 days uncollected, but that's much lower than it's been in the past, so this trend looks good as far as collections. No concerns there, but I will talk with finance about that as well. That's all I have for reports.
Okay. Topics for discussion. Okay, first up is Sergeant Milligan. Hi, Sergeant Milligan. All's well. You're up. You're first.
I thought Tiger was.
Oh, I thought Tiger was too.
Sorry,
I got the old agenda. All right, so let's.
You're educated. You're tuition.
I was just sitting in those gentlemen on Zoom, so it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do Tiger first.
Where's
Sorry.
Tiger now?
Sorry, this is a new addition.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay,
But is
go.
Tiger on?
He said he was going to come on, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see him on.
Yeah, I don't see him.
He's not on.
Do you wanna wait?
We'll just put him on the side for now.
Yeah, we'll wait a few minutes.
When Tiger gets on.
Table
All right.
it.
When Tiger shows up, we'll do it. Okay. Tuition assistance. Then. Sergeant Milligan. You're registering.
Officer Dewey and Officer Lopez are on though.
Oh yeah, but we'll take them one at a time. You requested a.
Of course.
I
the course of
I didn't realize, I thought that went through already.
No.
I'm sorry, that's what I didn't know was in regards to.
Yeah, this is a standard request in
Standard
accordance with the
request.
contract.
This is how it works.
It's for
Okay, yeah, that's okay.
I didn't realize.
No, that's okay.
tuition approval for his graduate work at Post University.
Next class starts then. Yep. Motion to approve,
So moved.
second,
Aye.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Next request is Officer Connolly for his graduate class at Liberty University. That's in line with our contract related to tuition reimbursement.
Okay. Motion to approve? Yes.
Yes.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's good. Next.
The next two, which I believe Officer Lopez and Dewey are on, and I believe John Milligan is here as well, related to that, are not standard requests for reimbursement. These are related to training that they attended for, I guess, defensive tactics, you might call it. They are not higher education, which the contract section mandates. And a little history is we have a line in our budget that pays for training fees when we approve officers to go to training. And for this specific training, we had 3 requests. Officer Dewey's request was denied by the training office and up through the chain of command. 2 other officers were approved, and they did attend the training, and the department paid for that. But Officer Dewey and Officer Lopez decided to attend this training on their own, and they did, and they are now requesting reimbursement for the tuition that they paid for their training related to this defensive tactics course.
Okay. Who were the other 3 that got the approval? Just to start.
Callahan and Gibson were
Okay.
paid for through our training line. So that's totally distinct from this education line. The education line pays for stipends that officers get for various degrees, and it also pays for higher education, college, and graduate level courses like the one that was just approved for Officer Connolly and Sergeant Milligan.
Okay. John, you want to talk about this?
I mean, the 2 guys are on the line.
Okay.
To discuss it. I mean, as the chief mentioned, this is higher education. The discussion would be, is the certification higher education? Because they received, from what I know from speaking to them, a certification, their instructor level, both of them can speak to it better than I.
Okay, all right, let me go alphabetically then. Officer Dewey, are you on? You're muted, if that's it. Or Officer Lopez, you're muted. There you go.
I'm here. Dewey isn't on.
Okay,
Yeah, and the contract, it does say higher education. It does not say college or graduate level work. That's not what it says in the letter of the contract. So I did receive a certificate, and put in a request to see whether or not it gets approved.
okay, as part of this, I received this Article 25 education pay,
Yes.
right? And it goes, as I'm reading it, the second sentence is, prior to reimbursement, interested employees must receive approval from the police commission for any educational courses. We get requests, kind of all the time, and what we go and do is go through the chain of command. So if the chief or deputy chief says to us, all right, here's the courses that our officers have requested reimbursement for, and that's kind of the way it works. We got to get the approval first, and then the officers take the course, right? And what seems to have happened here, and just correct me if I'm wrong, you asked, and Officer Dewey asked to take the course, right? And you were denied that because Officer Gibson and Callanan, or Sergeant Callanan and Gibson, were approved for it. And I think they were only, Chief, 2 people getting the course?
Well, to
Because
clarify,
it's a little,
we have a training request form that
Right.
comes through for every training course.
okay,
And sometimes the officers initiate it, sometimes the training officer will initiate it, and then it goes to the chain of command for review and approval. And there was 3 requests that went through: Callanan, Gibson, and Dewey. Callanan and Gibson were approved through the chain of command, but Dewey's was not. So they did put training requests through. Officer Lopez did not. He was not part of the whole training request thing.
Okay,
But these requests here are after the fact. They decided to go on the course on their own, and they're requesting reimbursement not through our usual training line, but through this educational
Right.
section in the contract.
How much is per person for this course?
Is it close to 1,000, Roberto?
I was a late sign on, so mine was 950. I believe Chris signed on early, so his was 850.
And how many days was the course?
5 days.
5 full days?
Five days. It was 30 hours in total.
okay.
Which they're not asking to be compensated for their time.
They did that on their own
On
time.
their own time.
Correct.
Look,
My view on this is it's really not higher education, it's training. So if a police officer went for extra firearms training, that's not higher education, it's training, and I would regard this as training. So in my view, I don't think it's covered by this, but I would add that I think the officers should be commended for doing this extra training so that they're better equipped to handle situations that may come up. And at such a modest cost, maybe we should consider increasing the budget for training, and so that, additional officers who wish to take the training can go do it. It's not a tremendous cost, and it's, if a situation arises where they need to use these skills, it makes the department better. So my own view on this is, unfortunately, I would not support reimbursement in this case because you didn't come prior and it's not education, but I would suggest that we consider increasing that training budget a little so that these officers or someone else could do it again in the future.
Yeah, we do have a pretty good training budget and goes through a vetting process. The officers that are sent to this are instructors, so they're teaching the rest of the department. So I think the rationale of not approving Officer Dewey was we have these other 2 officers that are going to be instructors and kind of like spread the wealth around a little bit. We can't have everyone be an instructor in these just because they want to be. So we have to be selective about who we select.
I'm not criticizing the choice. I'm just saying if officers are willing to spend their own time to do this additional martial arts training and it costs us $950, you don't have to be it's a skill. You don't have to necessarily be an instructor to use that skill. Anyway, that would be my view of this, although I'm sorry to say I wouldn't be supportive of reimbursement just because it doesn't follow this Article 25.
Chairman, Officer Dewey would like to speak. I don't know if he's muted or not.
He's not himself, I think, hold on.
He,
Is he the 518 number?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
he's muted.
go ahead,
He
Chris.
just has to
Chris, you're
unmute himself.
muted.
Doesn't know how to unmute.
Yeah, it's still muted.
He's texting you.
From where I am.
Yeah.
Can he hear us to unmute
Yeah, they can
himself?
hear you.
Okay.
Okay, can you unmute yourself? No?
Yeah, it's still muted. Okay, well, put him on hold
Yeah, that's
that
fine.
thought then for a second. Yeah. Your thoughts?
Okay. So the normal procedure is that you would get an approval. And the 3 officers you mentioned did get the approval.
2 out of the 3 did.
2 out of the 3 did.
Yes.
Got you.
So
And
4,
then-
4 attended.
Mm-hmm.
2 out of the 3 were approved by the department at wide and paid for through our training line.
Right.
2 of the 4 decided to go on their own without pre-approval or request from us.
Okay.
And now they're before you asking for reimbursement under this educational pay section of the contract versus the line that we typically pay for training.
Got
Right.
you. Yeah. Well, it does clearly state on the second sentence that there needs to be an approval for the educational courses. I think there needed to be an approval to get reimbursed.
And the history is for decades, this line has been used to pay for college and graduate work, not training like this.
Well, right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now,
Can the
yeah.
group hear me?
Go ahead, Chris. We can hear you now. Thanks.
All right, sorry for interrupting. I was just, I could hear everybody, but I just wasn't able to chime in there. Sorry about that. Just to clear some things up, I know we're talking about the prior approval portion. I guess we're looking at line 2 for section 25 is, and I'm tracking that, but it says prior for reimbursement, not for, we're talking about for the reimbursement portion, needs prior approval. So it doesn't say prior to taking the course that needs approval. It says prior to reimbursement, interested employees must receive approval from the police commission. So it doesn't stipulate on when that reimbursement occurs. It just says prior to the reimbursement. And also on the second, so last line or third last line, the courses to receive reimbursement, it says successful completion shall mean a final grade of C or above, or successfully passing any course or certification that does not offer a letter grade or completion. So I know we're talking about prior history for higher education in the realm of college degree or college programming. But when we come down to professional development courses for our profession or higher education, when it directly impacts our profession, you're going to get a lot of these courses that are certifications, not degrees or letter grades, as you would typically see in a college course. You would get professional development or higher education courses for our actual profession. You're not going to get a degree like a criminal justice or what have you. You would get certifications just in the similar realms of like physical fitness, CrossFit, level 1, level 2, level 3 certifications. You probably won't see those letter grades given for any sort of DT, firearms, professional development. And I know that kind of crosses over the lines or blurs the lines between higher education and professional development, but I think that's somewhat something to look at as far as our, definitions of what we consider higher education when we look at that second to third line from the bottom there.
Okay. That's a good point. But if we just back up just a little bit, to me, the order of events was 3 people asked to take this course, and you got to have structure in a police department or any organization. And when your person above you, superiors, say no, that this is going to be given to Officer Gibson and Callanan, that's the deal, right? That was the approval, Chief, right?
Yes.
When they came. So, and then Officer Dewey, you were told you didn't have approval, right? And Officer Lopez, you didn't ask. And while the commission and everybody in this building wants to have as much training, we can never do as much training as possible, but we really encourage training and encourage either further education or courses like this. You still need to have the approval of it before you can do it, or you can do it on your own and just pay for it on your own. But
and then that happened on numerous occasions in the past. Through 10 years of service for the department, I've done the same thing for pretty much every year. I was allocated about $2,000 of my personal budget towards that professional development training. Not really looking at our contract, up until this point, but that's happened to this point. And looking at the actual language, it falls within, and not circumventing anything. I understand the hierarchy of a department and the needs of that, but looking at the actual language of our contract, it actually fits in from what I see, depending on how we define higher education, which by the last couple lines, it's certification or C or better within that field.
mm-hmm.
And it doesn't say prior approval. It just said prior to reimbursement, not prior approval before taking a course or a college course.
Your next courses maybe should be law courses, but I think you've got an interesting point. It does say prior to reimbursement. It should probably, the word prior should probably in the sentence come later when it says interested employees must receive prior approval. That's where the word prior should belong. Now, that's the way it's always
Correct.
interpreted, as I understand it here, though. We've always, and even this evening, you see that we've approved certain things. We've always read this to mean you get prior approval from the commission, right? Because the money's going to be spent. So that's the way it's always been interpreted.
Okay, and I'm tracking. This is the first time I've sat in on the meeting and the minutes for the approval process. So this is a good, I guess, insight to what that looks like from my end. So I appreciate that. But the language, how it reads in on paper is definitely different than what it's interpreted or what it's being interpreted as.
It just always.
So
been,
I guess that's some confusion.
You have a good point about the language, but it's always been the practice here that officers get prior approval to take the course if it's going to be reimbursed. Is that, am I correct, Chief? I mean, that's been my experience in the years I've been here.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but like even the course that I was just approved for, I'm half done. It just
Right, correct. He's well within his program.
by the time I take the course, and by the time it gets to your desk,
Yeah,
I'm halfway in already.
yeah,
Unfortunately, just.
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's semantics as far as the people within the degree programs and the degree fields. These are just faster moving programs within the professional development realm that when we have to pay for them, whether they fill up or not, or getting a slot for it or not, has to be done at a pretty rapid pace, and it's either purchased beforehand or you're going to be shut out of the course. But a lot of your degree programs and fields are already well within it, and they're just going after, hey, it's been normal practice, and we're going to continue that person out of his degree field and just give them a thumbs up. But these are a little bit more fast-paced closeout, where you're shut out of the program at a more rapid pace.
All right, but the bigger principle for me here is the command structure, and that you asked to take the course and were denied permission to take the course because the chief's got other people in line to take the course, right? And then you took the course anyway, right? Which is, then it's up
Correct.
to you.
Yep.
To me, then it's up to you
Yep.
to pay. And it just should have been worked out before you took the course. That's all I'm thinking. Because there is a command structure, and we just kind of got to follow it. Otherwise, the budget goes crazy.
Right, and this wasn't a circumnavigation of that, and I don't want anybody to kind of misconstrue that by myself or Officer Lopez by any means. We're 100% on board with, and I understand that coming from the military side of the house.
Right.
Command structure is imperative. This was a program, and I think when Chief said spread the wealth, I understood these are the DT allocated DT instructors, but again, there's guys sending themselves to firearms courses, but are not firearms instructors as well. And it's just another professional development course, just the same as if someone took physical fitness or physical strength and conditioning programs for a college degree, just to better themselves for the next down the road, what they're going to do within the department or outside the department. This kind of falls in that same vein from myself and Officer Lopez and whoever takes courses outside of the normal, I guess, flow of what they would be utilized inside the department. That's my perception of what I'm doing as far as my own development.
Right.
Can I ask a question of the chief? Am I hearing that if officers elect to go for various training programs, whether it be martial arts or firearms or any other police skill, they can come afterwards and get reimbursed?
No, we've never done that. I've never seen that happen.
Okay.
It's the first instance.
Maybe I misunderstood what you were saying. I thought you were saying that people could get reimbursed for doing that.
Well, isn't that, but you said by the time you get your approval, you're halfway through the course.
Right, because when you register for courses, because I'm on an 8-week course structure.
Yeah.
I put in, sometime in April-ish. By the time the next commission meeting was, I'm partially in it already. So for me, just registration, and by the time it gets to your desk to get back to me, I do have, the contract does allow for $4,000. I know the money's allocated. I know I'm taking an approved course. an MBA program, so I put in for it. I mean, I've already paid for it.
Yeah.
I prepay for it, so it's already out of my pocket. So, you know, by the time it gets to you, it comes back to me, and it just, I register for my next class, and just kind of a back and forth. Like I took a course, I finished sometime in April, I put in for reimbursement. It takes sometimes a month or two for the town to reimburse me.
Right.
Just by the time things go back and forth, it's months.
So then for things like this, that there should be like a speedier process then. Then maybe it should get in
Well-
front of us a little bit faster.
But the process played out here, and that officers did go to the chief, which is the
Right.
normal
Mhm.
course of action. And the chief said yes to 2 officers and no to 1, right?
Yeah, it wasn't just me, it was the chain of command,
Right.
training officer, deputy
Right,
chief,
right.
everybody.
Deputy
captured.
chief, I'm sorry, okay. So it comes up the structure, and what came back down the structure was Gibson and Callan. Okay, and that's the deal. And even though it's a great course and everybody wants to take it, and more people want to take it probably than just, you know, Roberto and Chris, we were only going to pay for 2. Right? I mean, that's the deal and in this particular case. And all of us want more training and more specialization and more, improvement in all our officers' professionalism and abilities. Fine, right? But if you're told no, and then you still do it, and then you still want reimbursement, then we got a problem, which is why we're here tonight. Yes, John?
Same question will come up,
Yeah.
say if they didn't ask for reimbursement or sign up for anything.
Yeah.
Or no, they did. And then they later come for reimbursement, say they take an Excel course, so they take something to better themselves and make them stronger individual. Here, DT, something different. They come before you, has not gone through the chain of command, they just will try to excel as an officer and make them stronger for management or different. The same question's gonna be asked of you guys.
No, but the case here is,
Well, Lopez, no, Chris, yes.
Right.
In that case,
So I never asked for permission. I understand the chief's point of view. I also spoke to Sergeant Mitchell. They want 2 instructors. Understood.
yeah,
I don't want to instruct DT here. I took the course for myself.
yeah, right. And I personally appreciate that, I do. However, we got a command structure, and we've got, you know, we kind of got to stick to it, guys. You can't just go outside of that structure. It's hard.
I agree with Paul, and I also, Officer Dewey, I think your reading of the word, where the word prior has some validity, but I don't think this type of training is higher education. Just because you get a certificate from the martial arts instructor doesn't make it higher education. It's training. And that's, you know, under professional development, you have higher education and you have training. And to me, they're different things. So that would be my conclusion.
Okay.
Is higher education that has to be a college or university?
Not necessarily.
Frankly, based on past practice, that's
Yeah.
always what it's been.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember approving, and John, come in on this, anything other than college. It's been mostly college, either graduate right, or graduate programs, right? And training has always sort of been training. And frankly, we, as a commission, never have denied training. In fact, we encourage more training. But we go back to the, you know, approval process that we have to maintain. You just can't not maintain a strict enforcement of that. We, you know, unfortunately, I'm going to have to vote no on this when we come to vote. Any other discussion,
Not here.
John?
Well, for me, I have to thank you for getting the training, and for me, that part of it, I think it's, I have no issue with that part, but what I do have is that the approval process.
Right. As you see, Gibson and Callanan were approved, and there was no issue. So I would just encourage, just approval first for all these training programs. Anything that's gonna cost you money, you should, ask first.
I would move that we deny the request for reimbursement.
Can I get some clarification? So any professional development training that an officer would like to go to, they have to request through the police department, and if they get denied, they cannot go, or they're stuck paying their own money, spending their own time and going to it.
It's not that you can't go, it's just you're on, I'm seeing this unfold now, that you would be paying for it, correct? Or the individual will be paying for it.
So any development that we want to do has to go through the police department. We cannot go onto it on our own, and that's not considered.
No, just if you want to get paid for it. If it's coming from town money,
Mhm.
right? To get reimbursed for something, it's got to go through this process, yes.
To be reimbursed, not to take the course.
Right.
Okay.
And again, we would encourage you to take these courses, but just get prior approval. But if you're told no, you're not up yet, it's Gibson and Callahan, and then you go off and do it, it puts the three of us in a jam here. We just can't approve that. Okay? You see where you're the situation you put us in.
I understand that situation. I did not
But I think-
request and get denied and go to the class.
Is it just college courses, or can there be other professional development courses that would be considered at a later time?
I'm not,
I think that might be what he's asking.
Maybe the
Then
thing to
this
do
has
is
to
to
be
ask
worded.
through the chain of command if it's some other course. It's always been college courses, but if you have something else, bring it.
I mean, so there's two different avenues here, right? There's the training avenue, where we have a budget we can draw from, we can send people to training. If an officer said they wanted to go to Excel for some work-related thing that they needed to go to, we would pay for it.
right.
Just like a lot of other things, like defensive tactics, firearms, et cetera. This is a little distinct in the contract. The way we've always interpreted it and the way it's worked is it's always been college and graduate level work. It's never been anything other than that.
So I was just about to say that if an officer has something he's not sure about,
Make the request.
come to the chief and, we'll take it up and,
And we'll be flexible.
Yeah.
But we just can't reimburse when you're told by a chief, no.
I was not told no. So
Lopez was not told.
I know you keep putting us in the same bucket. We're not in the same bucket.
Or to receive, or
Or after- Yeah, just come to us beforehand, that's all.
Everybody knows the training requests, how they work, and we regularly get them.
Mhm.
Most are approved, some are denied.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the process, and it's been in place for decades.
But I think the other thing Lopez is asking, if he comes before you in the future with a request that something like this, you guys look at it?
Yes,
Yes, but
Absolutely.
again,
Okay.
go
Yeah.
up through,
Yeah.
but go, take it to,
Not after the
Right.
Not
right,
after the
Yeah.
fact.
not after the fact, take
It's
it
gotta be
up
before.
the normal chain of
And we'll
command.
have to interpret it and
Right.
debate it and see if it makes sense.
Right.
I understand that, but like Chris said, these courses, once they open up, they fill up fast, and if you don't move on them, you lose a spot. It's not like a college level, a university that has open enrollment and you sign up. Once these classes open, they fill up and they're gone.
But it'd be something that could be sent to us. ahead of
Right,
time.
and we can always do a special, we can always have a special meeting for a request. I mean, we're in town, so we hold meetings, not just on the third Wednesday of the month. We had a meeting on Monday night, so we're around. We can hold meetings virtually now too, so,
There's time, if it's something
It
time
should be-
sensitive, you're responsive to.
yeah, we will
we're
respond.
required by law to give notice of the meeting, right?
Yeah.
Through the FOIA,
48 hours.
Yeah,
48 hours.
but Officer Roberto, you know that we have a training request process, and anything you want to go to.
Right.
Fill it out, complete it, send it through the chain of command, and we usually get through it pretty quick. And if we think it's a training thing that the department should pay for, we'll pay for it.
Right. And as I said, the commission encourages that. But again, there's got to be a process, and the process is pretty well established, and this went outside that process.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor.
Second,
Second.
Okay, take a vote. All those in, just, the
I-
motion is to not approve.
To deny the request for reimbursement.
Agreed.
No.
Agreed.
Aye.
3.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay?
Okay.
Okay,
Tiger is on, if you wanna go back to
Thanks.
Ed.
Thanks, John.
let's finish.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, John.
Thank you, John.
Sure, that gets us through C. All right, Tiger, are you on?
I'm on, sir.
There you go. Now I see you.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. We're
I
still,
didn't realize you guys were going to be so fast through the agenda. I didn't realize 9 minutes. I was going to be in trouble.
yeah.
The,
We moved you up first. We moved you up first,
They get paid
Tiger.
by the minute here.
Yeah.
sorry. Sorry. So,
Yeah.
the question is, we received a letter from the DOT traffic asking if we would like to have centerline rumble strips installed on Route 123 in the upper section from just above Twin Ponds, 100 feet north of Twin Ponds, all the way to the New York state line. It's part of their state. They found that they did this for roads in 2017. They studied it for 2 years and found a 57% reduction in sideswipe crashes and off the road crashes by putting these in. They the criteria associated with it is a roadway that has 2,000 vehicles or more per day, speed limit of 35 miles or more per hour, residential density very low, within 100 feet of the roadway, and the travel lane has to be at least 14 feet wide from center line to edge of road. So they're coming in to pave 123 this year, and it's the perfect time to put in centerline rumble strips if we so choose. It's about a 2.4 mile stretch of roadway, and we can either say yes or no. We just have to give them an answer.
Okay, and where's Twin Ponds? Is that just above Michigan or is it below?
No, it's just below Canoe Hill. So that basically it'd be coming in from, it's about the Canoe Hill intersection north.
Okay. I think that would be helpful. Okay, can you get them to pave Park Street while you're there?
We are bumping up Park Street on the list, and it'll be done this year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you not do Green Avenue until the two constructions are done? The two houses are getting ripped down in a year or two?
Okay, so, any thoughts here? I'm in favor of this.
Is there any downside to doing it? It sounds like
No,
a safety
It sounds like,
benefit.
we've had driveway issues up there and other things, yeah.
Yeah, somebody late
let's
at
try.
night falls
Yeah.
asleep, you know.
It seems wide enough, straight enough, fast enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully.
And the state will pay for it?
It's their road, yeah.
The state will pay for it, yes.
Even better.
It's their
We'll
road.
take two.
So, we take. Sure. Motion to approve?
Motion?
So
Second.
move, second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you got it. 3-0.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks. On to Lieutenant Ogre and Officer Swindon.
Sure. This is something that was added in the last contract negotiation. It's called a delayed retirement option plan. And Lieutenant Ogrick is wanting to enter into this plan for a 2-year period and Officer Swindon for a 1-year period. In essence, it helps the department because we're able to plan for retirements, because once they enter the plan, they can't get out without a penalty, and you would have to allow them to get out of the plan based on the penalty. And in essence, they collect their salary and their pension payment goes into a separate fund. Their wages are fixed. I don't believe they get increases anymore. And it's a financially viable plan for the town and also for the individual when they enter into it. So it helps us with planning, and it's really a no cost to the town because of the way the pension plan is structured. So It's a new addition, allows us to kind of look ahead and plan for the vacancies, because we know it takes 9 months for us to hire and train someone. So now that we know that we're gonna definitely have one opening in a year and another one in 2 years, we can plan for that and hire based on those
Okay.
vacancies.
So again, what's the benefit to the officers?
In essence, their pension, they start collecting their pension, but it goes into a separate fund.
Oh, they can?
Yes.
Starting when?
They-
What day?
Once they enter into the plan, I believe July 1.
Oh.
So, but they don't have access to it. It gets segregated.
Yeah, okay.
And once they completely retire at the end of that drop plan period, then they get that money and they also get their regular pension.
They're getting double.
Yeah, but they can't use it until they're actually out of employment. But yeah, there's an incentive there.
So it's coming out of the pension fund,
Yeah,
which is the town or the state?
town. So it's a fully funded town plan.
Yeah.
And it's
So
been,
there is a cost to the town, right? Because
but it's
Sure.
the actuaries looked at it and it's really no cost because it's 130% funded or so. So it's not,
Okay.
it doesn't cost the town anything. In fact, it saves us money because it allows us to hire in advance versus have a 6, 9, 12-month vacancy.
Oh,
This is part of the,
Yeah.
part of the new contract.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
part of the
Okay.
contract.
Contractually obligated.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
And it's
we're
beneficial.
obligated, so it's not much to first of this.
Yeah. Well, you have to approve it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
You have discretionary
Okay.
approval. To allow people to enter into it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thoughts? Okay, makes sense.
As described, it sounds perfectly fine to me.
Okay, you good?
I'm good.
Okay, motion to approve both.
Move to approve.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
3-0. All right, great, they got it.
And I'll send you that, the plan actual language so you can get the summary of it, you understand.
Okay. Building renovation and training center update, chief.
Yeah, so the building committee has done great work. We haven't yet concluded, I don't think they've concluded their choice yet, but we're getting closer and closer to a decision, which I'm getting kind of excited about. And separately, I like to call it the Police Education and Training Center. That might be a good idea to call versus the training center. A little bit more comprehensive about what we want to build and how well it'll help us train our officers, given the times we're in. And that is a traditional range combined with education component of use of force and other things and scenario-based training that we can do in an open range concept like we're asking for. And we certainly all want our
Would
officers
it
to be.
also be the place where, for example, the martial arts, they take them, is that where they would do martial arts training and stuff, or?
Not necessarily. The plan for the renovation, our current facility, it will have a dedicated defensive tactics room.
Here?
Yes, but that's not to say that range training center, education center couldn't be used for scenarios where there might be some hands-on training, there might be some simulations, which is simulated firearms training. There could be live fire training, et cetera, based on the scenario, very, very varied kind of training that can be done there because it's a wide open facility.
A larger room where you could actually bring a car into it and train
Right,
guys
right, yeah.
appropriately.
Yes,
And location is being worked on.
yes. Yep.
Okay. To me, these two facilities are coupled together and are inseparable in that you can't have an option to have a building to house everybody in offices and then not train them appropriately. And we need to really train our officers to the environment that they are now facing. And we are in a new world with a new environment. And we've got to train not only to be offensive, but to be defensive and to de-escalate situations and to put these officers in the environment, in a room where they can train accordingly. Going up to Worcester Mountain 2 times a year is, to me, is never enough training. And we're losing the ability to have that facility up there. It's already closed on Thursdays, and you can see the day coming when they just close the whole facility. With that, we could wait around and hope for a regional facility to come together through Westcog. But again, that possibility is still up in the air, and it could be years and years away. And for us, we should take control of our own destiny, our own professionalism here. So we would encourage the town to move forward with both the renovation or our new structure here, as well as the training center, education center. And with that, the chief has also talked to a number of other departments, and they have said they have expressed interest in leasing space out from us. So we could in effect be the regional center here.
Right.
And that way we control it, we build it, to use the expression, if we build it, they will come. And 4 or 5 other departments have said, yeah, if you have that, we'd love to be able to use it as well. And they would of course be charged and, help offset the costs of it. So I don't think we would request a buy-in, but I would, to me, I would request a lease or some kind of hourly or yearly or monthly contract.
I would think that if we could explore that more fully, to present it, because cost will be a concern for the town.
Yeah.
Right, but if we present a package to them that's been fleshed out a little more, here's what we think the revenue will be lease or hourly or some combination, and here's the kind of numbers, it'll help make it happen. Versus if we just say, well, we think we'll.
No, yeah, there's more of this.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's modeling already about
Okay,
for the
good,
bond, et cetera.
So that's very encouraging. And I think we've got buy-in. Hey, Michael, are you on? Mike Morrow? You're muted.
Michael, you're muted.
Yes,
There
town
you go.
council.
Sorry, guys, I'm here, yes. What's up?
Just not to pin into the corner, but just your thoughts on what the town council's thinking.
With respect to the training center or just
Yeah.
overall?
Both.
Right now, obviously cost is a concern. I think the prevailing opinion is we need it here. There's too many variables, and like you said a moment ago, a regional center, whether that comes to fruition or it doesn't. I think the town council would be very interested in the concept of, leasing it out to other departments.
Right.
I think I've seen a lot of support, by the way, in the community, and just from various discussions about having a also potential resident-only use.
We lost you for a minute.
Michael?
Mike, we lost you.
I don't think we're getting back.
Okay, where'd he go?
At times to make more interesting.
Now Michael, we just got you back.
But can you hear me now?
Now we
hear me
can,
now?
yes.
Bob's covered. So I don't know what you heard there, but I think the town council will be very interested in this concept of offsetting costs if we could lease it to other towns. There's a lot of support, or at least I've heard, or interest in having resident-only use of it at times, at certain designated times, by charging, a fee. I think everyone I've heard from said they'd be in favor of that. So I think there's some real creative ways here to actually accomplish this. I'd also be interested in where do the local federal agencies trained? I mean, do they have to go down to Plessy in Georgia, or do they have some other facility? Because, you can even, market the training facility, to continue to get more, use and interest.
More revenue. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that would be a highly attractive or appealing feature for the town council as we're considering, the training facility, the police building, whether it should be together or not.
No, we just lost you, Mike.
So, overall, it seems to be dwindling. All right, can you hear me again? Can you hear me now?
Now you're back. Yeah.
Hold on. Okay, guys. Yeah. So the other point I was saying is that, I think there's a lot of support for the training facility. We're going to call it PETC, P-E-T-C. Is that what you said, Chief? The Police Education and Training Center? Is that what you said?
Police Education and Training Center. Yes.
PETC, right? So there's certainly support for having
That's,
our PD having access to its own facility. I know that I think just moving forward as we're getting, closer to a decision and the costs that are kind of being thrown around, that's going to be a big, the real, I think, ultimate issue for the town, whether it should be included in that facility or if we're just done with that concept completely and trying
Mike, we lost
We're
you.
losing you again.
We lost you.
space somewhere in town. So PD has its own facility. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I apologize. So it's a long-winded answer to say there's definitely support for our PD having its own training center. It's the variable on a regional coming around. We don't know when. We're in the process now of building a new PD building for the next 50 to 100 years. This should be the opportunity to have a training facility be, a part of this project, whether it be on site at the current location or somewhere else in town. And if we can get, offset costs from other towns, meaning by leasing or having the feds involved and having resident-only use, I think there's a real home run there, and I think it'd be a lot of support for that. So that's where the current temperature is, at least as far as I'm aware.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else on that? Just so everyone knows, there are discussions going on regularly. There's a building committee that I'm on. There's a building committee that the police force is on, and then there's other people out there helping as well. There's a number of committees seem to be floating around, but it all is coming together. So, hopefully.
Good.
All right. Next, letters of appreciation.
Sure. Always a nice part of the meeting. First letter is an email from Lieutenant Ferenga recognizing officers Lopez, Coughlin, Gibson, Cece, Chanella, Vincenzi, and himself participating in the Penguin Plunge. They raised $3,300 for Special Olympics, so great work there for helping such a worthy cause. Next letter is related to Officer Vincenzi. He assisted at a medical assist call, and the writer states, I have great respect and affection for your officers individually and collectively, and I consider them to be family. So that's a nice thing, certainly, from a resident to recognize an officer for
That's one of our newer,
his good work.
younger officers as well. Yep. Thanks.
Next letter is related to Officer Blank. It's from South School. And Officer Blank went there and interacted with the students there, and she's just explaining what a wonderful experience that was. She said, I cannot believe what a wonderful experience this was. Officer Blank was a natural with children. McLean is truly blessed to have him. So great work there.
I had to laugh when the second graders, I asked him, if it's a detective, do you use a magnifying glass? And he says, yes, and he has one.
Everybody thinks that, right?
Yeah.
Very
For
prepared.
different uses than you think, though. Last letter, but not least, is for Officer Dewey. He handled an incident for a merchant in the center of town regarding larceny involving some juveniles. And she said that he's one of the best here. And thanks to Officer Dewey for his quick response and how well he handled this incident. So good work by Officer Dewey there.
Okay. Takes us to the other matter, the speed limit request. All right, I saw that letter in there too.
Yep.
Okay, so that letter went out. Okay, on to executive session. Vote to go into executive session at 6:55.
I move we.
Okay. Police Commission is coming out of executive session at 7:26. A motion to, any other business? Any
No
other
other
new
business.
business? Any other comments? No? At all. All right, motion to adjourn.
So move.
Yeah.
I second.
All right.
Thank
All
you.
right. Good
Aye.
night.
Aye. Good
Thank
night.
you.